how did, this fear of abandonment impact you in your relationship with others?
Yeah, I didn't dare to stay true to myself
Mm,
in relationship with others because I felt like they would not accept me for who I am,
mm,
and they would leave me when they figure out who I really am. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
yes, that's why I used to put on a mask,
mm,
and yeah, and um, I made that mask out of their expectations. So
mm. You
yeah,
made that mask out of their expectations. Mm,
yeah. So I think I was kind of sensitive, and I was kind of good at reading other expectations, even though it wasn't verbally expressed.
mm,
So yeah, so that I could tailor my mask to put on during relationship with others, and then
mm-hmm,
it's made me become a people pleaser,
mm-hmm,
right? And it's also made me become a really, how to say, a person to find it really hard to be vulnerable, because being vulnerable to me was showing my weakness, so I wasn't appreciated by others, so they would leave me.
mm,
Yeah. And then um, I always wanted to control situations. Otherwise, I would feel weak, and that's not good.
right.
And yeah, and I also tended to care too much about other people. I would I was always that helping hands
Mm,
and and ears for other people to share their problems, but in return I never share what's really happened inside of me, especially difficult emotions,
mm,
right? And but then I was really sensitive,
mm,
and yeah, it was so easy for me to bust into anger.
mm,
Yeah, even with like small thing that people said.
mm,
Yeah, and I could also see myself being too dependent on compliments, and
mm,
yeah, yeah, I was so in need of external validation.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yeah, I needed to be liked a lot.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it could show up like so. Once I posted a picture on my social network, I kept checking it to see if any new likes or any new comments
Mm,
about that. Yeah, about that thing. And
mhm, mhm,
yeah, I also had a tendency to um, ending relationships very early. Yeah, it sounds confusing, but in fact, it was because I feared. I was thinking that if I did not leave them early,
yeah,
they would leave me first, and that would hurt
right,
me.
right. So you should be in control and cut the cord first because it will hurt a lot less.
Yeah, that's right.
Right,
How
right.
about you?
Oh, similar issues because of this abandonment trauma that I had. Um, because my mom never talked to me about difficult emotions. She never really just talked to me. Um, she would say, well, oh yeah, so I would say very, very hurtful things during conflicts with others. And and stay, yeah, say very hurtful things or just completely avoid it. because, instead of going, hey, let's come to the table and discuss how we will resolve this, or how are you feeling what I just did, or, or talking about how what you did made me feel, I would just say things like, I don't need you. Go, or I'll just isolate myself. And I did a lot of that, I think, with my now husband, early on in our relationship, and maybe even during early parts of our marriage. And bless the man stuck it through and he is still with me. Like, he was so patient. I mean, that's true love. He's so patient. Yes. He's so patient with me. And yeah, he never actually took my offer for him to walk out. I'm like, oh, you never did. He was like, no, we're going to work this out. I'm very thankful that I've been blessed with somebody like that, Another issue that I had was, like you, I just wanted to be liked, it's on one hand, I'm like, I don't need you. But on the other hand, it was, I want to be liked, not in a social circle setting, not in school. School is more like, I don't need you. Either you're my friend or you're not. It's fine. But in academics and in my professional life, I wanted to be acknowledged and validated that I was not just good enough, that I was your cream of the crop. I wanted that validation, because, and where that came from, this need to want to excel and to be recognized, was because, let's go back a little bit, because my mom, the only time she really had an in-depth conversation with me or really cared about how I felt was when we talked about my academics. So I just had this image. I started to think like, oh, yeah, I guess if I show that I excel academically, professionally, that's when people care about me. And it became a very, very perpetuating cycle to the point where I became a perfectionist for my job, for my academics. Anything less than stellar, less than an A, it just sent me down to a spiral. Ooh. Like, I just started questioning my self-worth. So my self-worth goes out the window. And another thing, it was also control issues, because the trauma from this abandonment that I had was so chaotic for me. I felt like everything was out of my hand to deal with. I felt like, okay, so if I can just grasp onto one thing where I have control, then this is it, and then I never want to lose control. So I became like a control freak. Very annoying, actually, to live with, to have a relationship with somebody like me. I worried a lot, controlling. Just looking at my notes. What else? Again, like you also, I overextended myself to listen to other people's problems, because I think part of me was hoping that I had the same attention that I gave to my friends. When my friends were sad or angry or whatever, I was there listening to them, because I guess a large part of me was hoping, oh, I wish I had the same attention. But I did it so much for these other people, I got tired. Also, I had empathy fatigue. And actually, no one ever checked in with me on how I felt. And, it's because I also wasn't comfortable in telling people how I felt, because by then it was just like, I didn't grow up like that. I grew up in an environment where my feelings didn't matter. We didn't talk about my feelings. Another thing was, I became really judgmental, I think, because I was trying to excel, right, academically and professionally. because I thought that defines a person, not emotions. I began to see that academic and professional qualifications are what makes a person wholesome. So anytime I would befriend somebody or go into a relationship with someone, those are the filters that I use. I'm like, it's actually really snotty and I'm not proud of it. But I'll be honest, I would think, well, what college did you graduate from? What's your degree? You know, like if I get in a relationship with you, like how does this make me look? It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not proud of it looking back, but that was how it was for me. But having said that, I actually was with somebody that was for 5 years. That was none of that. And the only reason I stayed with this person was because my need to be validated. He gave me a lot of compliments. He filled the emotional void and the validation that I lacked growing up. But he wasn't the right person for me. But I stayed with him so that I could get what I didn't have for 5 years. I mean, it should have ended in day 5, but I stayed with this person for 5 years. And I wasted his time, not just, my own time, but I up to this day, I still feel very bad about wasting his precious time.
He has been going through a lot, huh?
Yeah, I think you and I, fear of abandonment. And it's not just abandonment, it leaves a lot of scars. And it impacts, right? It impacts the way you relate to other people and how you relate to yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Like, let's take a deep breath on that. Like, whew.
Yeah.
Like in your 30s for you and in my 40s, that's when I'm really realizing all this, I'm like, wow, I've really gone wrong.
Yeah. That's a long way that we have gone through. Okay. So, since you're having 2 beautiful children now, so would you like to look back and see how did it impact your parenting?
Yeah. I think the major shortcoming for me as a parent was with my eldest, my daughter, because I didn't know how to deal with difficult emotions whenever she was sad or angry, which is, very natural as a child or just as a human being. And it just happens to be more frequent for a child, right? They're very sensitive. I just shut it down. I would actually get angry at her. Like, I'll be like, Nanya, why are you sad? Snap out of it. Come on. Just stop being sad. Let's go. Pick up and go. And looking back, in many ways, though unspoken, this is how my mom treated me. This is how my mom raised me. And unknowingly, that's how I was raising my daughter. And it saddens me because Nanya, I often wonder if that is why Nanya is a more closed off person. She doesn't share her feelings very often. And when she does, she has to really, really trust you. Like you have to really be in her inner circle. She doesn't show any signs of affection except with me. She's not into physical touch because, again, I think when she was sad, when she used to be sad as a little girl, I didn't even, I would hold her, but at the same time, it wasn't like a genuine lingering hold like I do now with my son. It was more of a okay, I'm comforting you. Okay, get over with this. Okay, can you just stop crying? So, because we gotta go. And she probably sensed that, and that's why now I think partly why she's not really in the physical touch. I think sometimes she can also be a little dry and sarcastic, like mommy was, because perhaps this energy that I had lingered on to her. She's actually a really sensitive girl, but she doesn't want to talk about it. And what really broke my heart was that she used to say to me, I would say, Nanya, what do you do when you're sad? She's like, I just sleep. I take a nap. I'll sleep on it and I'll tell myself it's okay. And that broke my heart because I was thinking, oh my gosh, she's this wounded little girl like me, like I was, who probably doesn't have the tools on how to process challenging emotions. And she's just telling herself to be strong.
Right.
Which is what I told myself, which is probably what you told yourself.
So sleeping is like her coping mechanism. She avoided.
Yeah, she avoided it. Yeah.
Right.
So that's how it's impacted me as a parent. Not proud of it. And I'm so glad now with all this mindfulness work that we have done that now I'm, turning the corner. She's opening up more now and she's more compassionate. She's more able to, deal with difficult emotions and talk about them.
Yeah. So, so in my case, that fear of abandonment actually manifested as my fear to have a child on my own, because that fear of abandonment made me to be a really risk-averse person, and raising a human for me back then was a really risky thing. What if I failed as a parent? What if I traumatized my child unintentionally? And I didn't want the same thing happen from that had happened for my mom that would happen for me, and what had happened for me that would happen for my child. So that's why I kept delaying having kids until now. So, after many years going through all the impact of fear of abandonment, and then getting to know it, and then starting to heal from it. So this year I felt like, I'm readier. I can finally take that risk, and and I think I'm better capable of raising a child, with all myself, and with compassion. So
with compassion,
that's what has happened to me.
So let's just clarify this. So even after you've gone through some mindfulness, you were awakened like, oh, these were fear of abandonment issues. You were still scared, right? You were still scared of like having a child.
That's right. So that's the thing about healing process. It didn't happen, overnight. It takes time.
It takes time. That's right.
And in fact, it takes a lot of time for me because, that fear of abandonment, it was started like at 5, and then it lasts until I was, I think, in my mid-20s. So nearly, 20 years to form something. So it became so concrete. So in order to, to even realize that it was there. It takes a lot of time. Not to mention the time to realize its mechanism, so that we can we can transform it.
That also takes time. It takes time to be awakened it takes time to heal. Yeah, it's definitely because the wound was not something that happened overnight.
Yeah, yeah. It's never happened overnight.
Mm. Mm.
Right. Wow, but thankfully it has happened.
Thankfully, it has happened, right? And this brings us to our last question and comment, which is, now that we are awakened, and and we know that we need to heal, and that we're intentionally healing ourselves day to day, how are we breaking the cycle as a parent? Because I am sure in some form or another, our parents were the way they were, like your mom was the way she was, my mom was the way she was. Perhaps their parents were like this in some ways, so they didn't know any better. And that's why they interacted with us the way they did. And because we didn't know any better, therefore we interacted the way we did with others in our lives, including our children. So now we are awakened. Like, how will we break the cycle? Like, what are you going to do, Lynn, when your son is born? What are you going to do intentionally to break it?
Yeah. Thank you for your question. So actually, I have been doing it as soon as I knew that I got pregnant.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the focus here is on me. So I know that how much I heal myself is what is the word? How much I heal myself correlate with how much I could heal other people, including my mom, and then it also correlate with how I can raise my child better.
It begins with you. It begins with you.
That's true. It begins with me. So, that's the thing that I intentionally do on a daily basis. So, I commit to myself that I would never abandon myself again.
Oh, I love that. You commit to yourself. You will never abandon yourself again.
Yeah. And I do it by listening to myself, accept whatever happening inside of me. Even though it's take time, it's really challenging. I still remember how hard I even talk out loud that, oh my God, it's so hard to be with my anger, and it's so hard to be with my cockiness. It's so hard to be with my procrastination. Oh my God, it's so hard. But I did not quit. I stay with my commitment to never abandon myself. So I went through the period when I accept that I could not accept everything inside of me at once. Yeah. So I think it's nourished my patience to be with myself. And then I should mention that intention really helps. The intention to be with myself no matter what. So finally I can get to that point. And then I can be present for whatever inside of me, easy or difficult.
Yep. Yeah.
And I felt like my acceptance also increase over time. Gradually, slowly, but it does increase. And then I also feel like I can awake like a mother inside of me, a mother to me, a mother to me myself, a mother that can hold me whenever I feel vulnerable. Whenever I feel like I want someone to really sit there and patiently listen to me, and to really hold my hand, smile with me, and then tell me that I'm here. I'm here with you. through thick and thin. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it warmed my heart. It warmed my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow I felt like it really translates in the way that I communicate with my baby son, my baby boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the energy that I feel towards him.
Yeah. It's the it effect because how you feel towards yourself, that energy illuminates to your child.
Yeah, right. So I talk to him on a daily basis, and then like two friends, and like I I don't know how to say this, but I feel like a really close relationship and
Relationship.
loving relationship, and I'm so thankful that it's also influenced my mom. So
Mm.
yeah, so it feels like when I heal as like when I heal my fear of abandonment, so I feel more comfortable being vulnerable. And
Mm.
yeah,
Mm. Mm.
you know what? Before I never talked to her about things that made me sad or disappointed.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to show up being so strong and confident and calm
Right. Right. Right.
in front of her. But lately, I started to feel comfortable letting her know about
Oh.
yeah, problems
Mm.
happening to me and at work or you know, in the relationship with my husband. And
Mm.
yeah, and I just let her know for the sake of letting her know. I didn't expect that she would soothe me. So that's why the conversation about difficult topics got really light.
Ah. Yeah.
Yeah, got really light, and it's just like a random chat between
Yeah.
friends. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and I started seeing my mom opening up herself,
Mm. 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 Mm.
and it's like she got relaxed.
Whew, yeah.
Yeah, she got relaxed, and finally, she
Beautiful.
yeah she can also talk about what bothers her, what made her feel difficult.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's when I feel like we became like a true friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know, we of course we went through a lot, and um, I always so um, recently I felt like
Mm.
I could be her friend who back her up and
Yeah.
give her a pat on her back whenever she got anxious or stressed. I would say, "I'm here.
Mm.
No, I'm here."
Right. Which is probably what she needed when she was alone raising you. But
That's right.
because she, right, because she didn't have the support, therefore she's like, well, then I need to be strong. But being strong for so long makes you tired. And when you're tired, you're resentful,
That's
right?
right.
You're
That's the thing.
angry and you will take it out on that person that is closest to you physically
Yeah,
and relationally, right? And that was you. That was
that,
you.
that's right. Yeah.
Right.
So I usually tell her and also tell my dad that what family, this situation is difficult, but we will figure it out. We'll find solution together. So no worries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm so thankful that you know, our relationships are now much better, and it's better in a really authentic way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's beautiful.
that's beautiful. Yeah, I'm so grateful for that.
No, that's really beautiful. You worked on yourself first. You
Mm.
weren't, trying to force them with this mindfulness, whatever. You're like, no, I'm just gonna, I read this quote somewhere on frequent basis, which is, it is, it wasn't your fault what happened to you,
Mm.
you know? But now you need to take control over what happened to you by healing yourself. You know, that's your responsibility. So it wasn't your responsibility what happened to you, but it's your responsibility to heal yourself. And just work on yourself. And I think when you heal yourself, you become a lighter and a light. And when you are a light, the people you interact with, without trying, a light is shined upon them. And they find their way back as well.
Yeah. So I think it's really helps to break the cycle.
Yeah, to work on yourself first. I agree. And I echo everything that you said on how you worked on yourself. That's what I've been doing as well. And I see that energy being absorbed and now being reflected back in my own children, especially my Nanya now. So yeah, that was a long conversation. It was a very vulnerable conversation. That was a lot to unpack. But thank you everyone for staying tuned for this long, if you have already. And just know that, you know, if any of these things that we have said resonate with you, you're not alone. There's really nothing to be ashamed of. I think a lot of us have felt abandoned in one way or another. I think, but it is our responsibility, though, to acknowledge them and to heal ourselves from them, so that we can live a life to its fullest, you know, with just love and gratitude. Yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. And oh yeah, one more thing. If any of this really resonated with you, you know, the fear of abandonment or the consequences that it has caused in your life, Lynn and I will be happy to have a self-compassion circle for you, where we just, you know, get together non-judgmentally and just unpack these issues, just to share and to talk. And in that process, hope that it makes you feel lighter in heart. Anything else to add, Lynn?
No, I'm so glad. Actually, this session, it's like a healing session for both of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel so grateful now, and I do hope that we can, share this energy and the gratitude that we have to many other mommies.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and hope to see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.